If you're anything like me, then the social fear of doing almost anything in public is overwhelming. So, you will not be surprised to hear that dancing is not an activity that I regularly partake in. Although the other week, I was dragged to the dance floor at a wedding reception. That being said, as I researched this episode, I wondered whether I could dance in public if my life depended on it. Could you? Even if I did, there is a slim chance that dancing would take me out. Tonight, we explore the dancing plague of 1518 as we step into the unknown. There are a great many things still unknown to science, such as 80-ish% of the world's oceans. What exactly is going on down there? Your guess is as good as mine. How about the phenomena of why anybody would want to be part of a flash mob? Well, this flash mob is definitely one you would want to miss out on. Here in England, or at least the part I'm from, we have a wonderfully cheery saying, dancing over your grave. In essence, this is a phrase to highlight how joyous you would be over the downfall of your arch nemesis. But in this case, you would very much be dancing yourself into your own grave. That really wants to make me stay away from the dance floor even more. So, what exactly is the dancing plague of 1518? It all seemed to begin in the middle of July 1518 in the city of Strasbourg. A woman, Frau Trafea, would step out into one of the city's squares and she would begin dancing, and by dancing, I mean spasms and convulsions. For a week she dances, only stopping momentarily after bouts of extreme exhaustion, though she doesn't seem to stop for anything else such as food. Eventually, with her activity going well beyond the realm of curiosity for onlookers, Frau Trafea would be taken away. However, whatever had gotten her to dance had spread. By the end of that first week, there were a reported 30 more people in the city dancing. At the plague's height, there were some 400 dancers, all of them moving without pause to rest or eat, injuring themselves and eventually leading to their deaths. This was in no part helped by the city's leaders, who theorised that more dancing would be the way to solve this growing epidemic. With more people falling foul of this unknown affliction, the city of Strasbourg would eventually ban dancing in the city, followed by music, before ordering those dancing their lives away to visit the shrine of Saint Vitus. Whichever attempted cure worked. By September, this craze had run its course and was beginning to subside. Supposedly, 15 people a day fell foul of this illness, though I couldn't really find a final count of the unfortunate people who died from severe exhaustion, hunger, or, in some accounts, heart attacks. In fact, I wasn't really able to find anything that 100% stated people died. Though, if it was as bad as the contemporary chronicles suggest, it seems likely some people might have died following dancing for hours and hours on end. The vector for many illnesses often leads to the cure. What exactly caused the dancing plague? Well, that is still up for debate. There are quite a few ideas as we'll explore in a moment, but as I was researching, I was struck by the socio-economic plight that was affecting the city in the years before the plague struck Strasbourg. Of course, these scholars, straddling the realms of the modern world and that still in the grip of superstition and religion, wrote as though an apocalypse had dawned. Comets shooting across the sky, hellish weather and extreme famine all bubbling away. These chronicles detail floods, bouts of cold and heat that left harvests ruined, and even outbreaks of the bubonic plague. As you can imagine, civil unrest was not far away. This is the tense and, at times, chaotic backdrop to the dancing plague. The most widely accepted cause of the plague is put forward by John Waller as a form of mass psychogenic disorder. Due to the stresses felt by the citizens of Strasbourg at this time, Waller believes some would suffer such episodes, leading to the dancing plague. To support this theory, Waller suggested that the reason this psychological break manifested in dancing was due to the local superstitions surrounding Saint Vitus. This succinctly leads me on to the next cause. As I mentioned earlier, the 1500s were a time when modern understanding, or perhaps the early semblance of science, was beginning to rear its head in a superstitious world. Saint Vitus is the saint of dancers and entertainers, among other things, and he became such due to the celebratory dancing people would do on his saint day before his feast. From this spins the idea that those who failed to partake in the dancing, or didn't dance enough, might be cursed by dancing forever. So you can see how deeply ingrained local beliefs might have a psychological effect on people. much like what John Wallace suggests. Some other ideas of how the plague came about are just as interesting. One thought is that psychoactive fungi was the cause. Ergot fungus grows on grains used for making bread. I'm very aware this is similar to how cordyceps spread in The Last of Us. Perhaps this was an inspiration. The main psychoactive agent in this fungus is ergotamine, which is very closely related to lysergic acid diphylamide, or LSD. I think the fungi route is possible, maybe for a few people, though in my limited experience of drugs, I don't quite believe it would keep people dancing for hours and days on end. Some view dancing at this time as something linked to sin, and in a world dominated by religion, it is no surprise that there are those who viewed the plague as a divine punishment, or even demonic possession. Although the first attempts to cure this illness, ineffectual as they might have been, seem to suggest some form of medical progression. When this failed, the God-fearing Christians resorted to their local saints and belief. Though I do not subscribe to this element of supernatural causation, I think it is a great example of how real-world illnesses or events were misunderstood as divine justice or punishment. I'm not sure we will ever know for certain what was the cause of the dancing plague of 1518. Having researched this, I think it is most likely something akin to what John Waller put forth. The region and other towns along the Rhine would experience similar episodes before Strasbourg. Given the widespread economic and political issues outlined earlier, it seems that something psychological was going on, or at least makes the most sense. Though equally, it could well have been the devil playing a fiddle only the afflicted could hear. Do you have any theories about the dancing plague of 1518? What caused it, and what cured it? Let me know in the comments below. But remember, the next time you're inclined to move your feet and shake your body, just know that this dance could well be your last.